Right, let's get on to example 4 or question number 4. What we're going to deal with here is the calculation of the market value of a redeemable debenture. Right, now remember, anything that is redeemable, I want you to go straight to your financial calculator and use that to input your information. Okay, now remember, a debenture attracts interest. Interest is tax deductible, so please don't forget about that number. Okay, so Baxter holds 1 million rand of debentures in Treeline. Annual interest payments is 15%, and the debentures are redeemable in 5 years' time at par value. Now remember, that number could have been premium or discount. Okay, so please read carefully. That's what's important. The current market return for similar debentures with a 5-year life is 20%. So in other words, market yields, okay, basically is 20%. That is typically the yield we would need to use to calculate market value. And the current tax rate is 28%. Calculate the market value of the debentures. Right, now essentially there are two parts to the cash flow. There is an annuity portion, okay, which is essentially 108,000 Rand after tax. And then there is a maturity portion which comes after 5 years. So on the financial calculator, essentially, as you can see there, right, your typical requirements or variables on the financial calculator, your payment, which represents your annuity factor, your annuity number, your future value, which is obviously in this case the maturity value, I, which is the cost of debt after tax in market terms, N is your lifespan obviously, and your present value is the market value today. So please put this into your calculator. That's what you need to do. You need to make sure that you are able to do this calculation. Now, basically your payment represents the dividend. So this is, or in this particular case, the interest. But interest is tax deductible, therefore after tax. Okay. The future value is the maturity value, and like I said, that could have included a premium or there could have been a discount attached to that. Right. Your I value is your yield, in other words, your market yield, and the market related rate of return for similar debentures is 20%, tax rate is 28%, so therefore after tax we multiply that by 0.72. N is equal to 5, right, and that gives you your market value of 877,588. Okay, so please try that on your calculator. You got to get that right. And remember, okay, when you see redeemable, you take out your calculator and you input your values. Okay, don't forget the main difference between a preference share and this debenture would have been the tax on this. Okay, so if this was a preference share, then I would not have had to worry about that or that. Okay, so please remember that's your main difference. Okay, so remember that that's the key difference between prefs and debentures. Right, so that's example 5 or question number 4, I think that was. Yeah, that's question 4 done. Right, let's have a look at what the next one has in store for us. Okay. The next one is just sort of a reverse of question 4. Question 4 dealt with the market value of a redeemable debenture. We're now going to calculate the after-tax cost of debt of a redeemable debenture. And I want to highlight something very important to you, something that students usually get incorrect. Okay, so we need to be very careful of what's the right way of doing this and the wrong way of doing this. And obviously the wrong way is what you want to avoid. Okay, so let's see. Baxter currently holds 1 million Rand in debentures in Treeline. The current issue price of the debentures is 925,000 Rand. So I've given you today's value. Okay, that's the current price. The annual interest payment is 15%. The debentures are redeemable in 5 years' time. Again, the maturity value is par value, right, which is 1 million Rand. The current market return for over 5 years is 20%, and the company tax rate is 28%. Right, we want to calculate, right, now actually we don't want to calculate the market value of the debentures. We want to calculate the cost of debt. Okay, so let's just fix that. Right, now in calculating the cost of debt, typically what would be given to you is the present value. You'd be given the payment, the future value, N, and you would need to compute I. Now please note how this is being done. Right, so firstly, your payment as per example 4 or question 4 right? That remains exactly as is, right? And then your 1 million rand is the same, right? Notice what we've given you is the present value, so that's given for you, right? And that is that. Now, please note, okay, that this number that we have calculated is now the after-tax cost of debt, okay? Remember, point times 0.72 for after tax. Now, what sometimes happens is that calculations are done without the tax implication. So in other words, 150,000 Rand without tax. Okay, there's the 1 million Rand, there's the 925, and there's the 5. And look what we come out to. We get to 17.36. And then multiply by 0.72, and that gives you 12.5. And 12.5 and 12.93 are not the same. So please do not do it like that. Okay, you have to do it with the tax implication built into the calculation, because typically the assumption by doing it this way is that your tax benefit is only achieved or realized in 5 years' time. That's not the case. Okay, it's achieved on a time value money basis on an annual basis. So in other words, you get the interest deduction every year, and therefore you're going to account for it for 5 years. Okay, not after 5 years. All right, so please make sure that you have this one sorted.